One of the things that I have done with Balance and Cleanse and other products historically is created what I call a controlled environment. Later on, I'll speak about a compliant environment. This is slightly different. And I will do the exact same thing with Activate. A controlled environment is basically this. In science experiments, you have experiment A, experiment B, hypothesis A, hypothesis B, whatever, and you have a control. And the control is something you don't fiddle with. So you can measure the differences based on what you're doing back to the unfiddled with control. That's what I do with our products. Now, some may disagree with me, and certainly I go beyond this sometimes, but as a baseline way of thinking, consider this. I introduce Activate to someone, the full system. Maybe they're also going to do Cleanse at the same time, in which case, hallelujah, they're going to get great results. What I say to them then, at the beginning of that month or two, is I say, look, new person, change nothing. Change nothing else. I don't care how bad your diet is. I don't care how well you eat or how well you don't eat. Just add this to whatever that routine is. Two reasons for that. One is, let's be frank, people, I could say, and I probably should, you need to eat more salad and less white bread. You need to exercise more. You need to drink more. All these things we all know we should do. Well, frankly, they knew they should have done that before I came along with Activate and Cleanse anyway, and they weren't doing it. So the likelihood of them doing it as well as Activate and Cleanse, fairly remote. So I'm not going to ask them to do stuff that they already know they should do and they're not. I'm just not that stupid. Plus, it makes what I'm offering look simpler. It makes, all I've got to do is just do what I'm doing and add that, or add, cut and paste breakfast and lunch with that. Yeah, I can do that. And I can still have my whatever for dinner and, blah, 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 blah. Now, do I wish they wouldn't have those 3 snacks in the morning and 4 snacks in the afternoon and all that hike? Yeah, you bet I would. I'm going to teach them principles such that they choose to do that, but I'm not going to require it of them. Because here's what happens. When that result, note the language, when that result occurs from Activate, Cleanse, then where does the credit go when nothing else changed? The credit goes to Activate and to Cleanse. There is a bright line distinction between what I was doing before and the only variable, getting scientific now, the only variable I changed is I added this stuff to my regime in lieu of breakfast or lunch, whatever. It's actually easier because I do is mix it up, shake it, and drink it as opposed to make whatever. Actually turned out to be cheaper as well. All these other conclusions come to the mind. But all of a sudden, all credit goes where it should have, the product, because nothing else changed. And if I say, here's what's going to happen, I predict that, then all of a sudden my credibility's gone up as well. And it's unambiguous as to what made the result. Let's look at the contrary. If I manage to convince them of exercise more, drink more water, don't eat those mid-afternoon, mid-morning snacks, lay back on the carbs, eat more salad, blah, 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 all the things we know they should, prioritize protein and fuel with fat and control carbs, good stuff, and certainly I hope they will. I'm going to teach them that if they choose to, but I'm not going to require it of them. If they did make those changes and magically had some great new personal disciplines because they bought a box of Activate, all of a sudden it's muddy to them as to what caused the result. Well, yeah, I took the product, but I also changed my lifestyle significantly. I was exercising more and eating better, and I'm not quite sure if the result was due to Activate. I've just muddied the result, and therefore the psychological lock-in on the result produced by this one change in my life. Now, here's what actually happens. I don't require those other changes. I educate them as to, you may want to consider these things, but you don't have to. Worst case scenario, change nothing and just do this. That's the way I position it. You and I both know from taking the product, as you start ingesting the right nutrition in the right balance, and by virtue of cutting and pasting bad meals for Activate and beginning to fuel with fat and prioritize protein, and by definition, therefore controlling carbs, though doing it through the back door, shall we say, all of a sudden their physiology and biochemistry begins to change, and they actually start to want to eat that salad for dinner rather than the blah, blah, blah. They actually crave more the things their body actually needs as opposed to the things that's been fueled by it over time, the flash furnace, high-carb stuff. Your chemistry changes, your desires change, therefore you start doing the better things. But because it wasn't required of me at the beginning as a part of this whole package, so I'm going to sell you this thing and cost you a lot of money, and I'm going to make you change your disciplines, and I'm going to make you do all these other things that you've never done before, even though you knew you should have, it becomes an awfully complicated conversation, less likely to be done. If more simply I say, look, here are the principles we follow. You're certainly more than welcome to follow them, but whatever else you do, just add this to your diet, cut and paste these meals with this product. All credit goes to the product when the result occurs. My competence and my reputation, if you will, with them goes up. Their confidence in me goes up. And we've isolated the variable that made the difference, which is Unicity product. Unambiguously, what we gave them was what caused the solution and the good result to occur. Unbeknownst to them, that at the back end of that month, they actually started to eat better as well. They actually started to fuel themselves more with fat because that's what their body and their psychology was actually saying, I think I'll eat that rather than that. So ponder on that. Think of a way of isolating the variables, creating a control group such that the results are unambiguous, and more importantly, the credit for the results goes to where you want it to go, which is your product and us. Now, some would say, well, that's risky because if they've got high blood sugar and their cardiovascular risk profile and blah, blah, blah. I agree with that. But let's be frank. A month or two continuing on their poor diet isn't going to make a difference after decades of, frankly, diet abuse. So I'm prepared to take that very small risk for the value of isolating in on what I changed, what I gave them, what I caused to have change in their life, which was controllable and easily done, piece of cake, sorry for the pun, was exactly what made the result. That locks in perception. That helps them form the right conclusion, creates the best possible result, and credit goes where credit's due for the purposes of future sales, future sharing of the opportunity and the products with other folks. Ponder the concept of change nothing, just take this, and what that implies in terms of the conversation. It's magic.